Hello, my name is Gabrielle Myers from www.gabriellemyers.com, and I'm here today to show you how to make a simple vegetable-based sauce. It's called parsley sauce, and it's one of these delicious sauces that you can enjoy basically year-round, although I think it's customized to the season of winter, where mostly you have herbs growing in your garden. So I'll show you how to make it in just a few moments, but before I do that, I'd like to walk you through the base ingredients. Now, the first thing and the most important ingredient is parsley for a parsley sauce. For this, I went out in my garden and I picked some organic parsley that's growing. You can get parsley from your grocery store. Most grocery stores, I think, across the country, if not internationally, have parsley available. So you can get that. I would wash it up. What I do is I dunk it in a bowl, basically, so the parsley is submerged in water. Shake it around a little bit with your clean hands that have been washed, and then dry it out on paper towels. I prefer unbleached paper towels so I don't get any of that bleachy stuff in my body. And then I basically twist off just the top. So you see we have just basically the stems and just a little bit of the stems, but mostly we have leaf. So the bottom half of the stem basically I leave out. You could pick it and just pick off the leaves, but I really feel like that's not necessary. And a lot of the wonderful parsley flavor and texture actually is in the stem that is close to the top. So that's your first ingredient. Then the next major ingredient is 3/4 of a cup olive oil. I like to use extra virgin olive oil, especially for this sauce. You're not cooking it. There's nothing to worry about in terms of your smoking point. So I would use extra virgin olive oil like so. 3/4 of a cup of that. And then we have one medium garlic clove that I've crushed. And since I'm going to make this sauce almost immediately after crushing it, I can just leave the garlic like this. Now, if I wanted to pre-crush my garlic for some reason, maybe an hour or two before making the sauce, I would put a little olive oil with the garlic so that way the garlic doesn't dry out and oxidize. And then you have a little salt. Here, I'm going to start with 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Now, if you're salt sensitive, I would back off on that and maybe start with a pinch or two. And we'll taste as we go. We might need to add more salt, but probably not. Usually that's pretty good. And then 1/8 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. These are red pepper flakes that have a slight spice to them, but if you're sensitive to spicy things, you might consider just cutting back on it and using it just a pinch or none. And so those are the base ingredients. I'll show you in just a moment how to put this together. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the parsley sauce. This is a very easy sauce, and these are the kind of sauces that I like to present, sauces that are easy for anybody from any walk of life to put together, but they're good and they're healthy for you. And so for this, the first thing to do is put your olive oil in a food processor. So I'm going to do that right now. And there you go, some nice olive oil. Then you put your parsley in the bowl. Make sure you always have clean hands so you don't contaminate yourself or your guests with anything. And I like to shove the parsley down in there so the blades come into full contact with as many little leaves as possible. And so there's that. And then you throw the garlic in. And some of the red pepper flakes. And some salt. Now these are our base ingredients. A few variations that are possible at this point in time. You could put in 1/2 cup of Kalamata olives and or some lemon zest. That would be really a nice addition. I'm going to keep this straightforward and then talk more about how to tweak this sauce and play with it towards the end of the video, so stay tuned. So here we go. We're going to put our top on and blend away. There we go. Turning it on myself. Blend it probably for about 2 to 3 minutes. I stop it midway through the blending and push down some of the material that has floated to the top of the food processor on the sides. So I'm scooping down or pressing down some of the parsley basically that has done that. And that's important to do so that way you have consistency in terms of the parsley leaves in the end. You don't want any kind of big chunks of parsley hanging out. Kind of shake off your spatula as much as possible and continue to blend. Stop and show you, my audience, what this looks like at this point in time. So you see you have a nice mix of the parsley and the olive oil in there. There's a pretty fine grind on this parsley. I'm going to give it one more little spin to make sure that it's exactly the consistency that I would like before I stop blending it for this point in time. Okay, so this is what the sauce looks like at this point. And now I'm going to taste it and make sure that it's exactly how I want it before I take it fully off the blending with the food processor. It's good. I feel like it needs a little bit of salt and then a pinch of lemon juice. Now watch out for the lemon juice. If you're not going to serve this immediately, don't add lemon juice now or any acid, because if you're going to hold off on an hour or 2 or 3 hours or the next day and you add lemon juice now, what's going to happen is the sauce will turn kind of a dark green and brown, and it won't be that attractive, and you want to avoid that. But I'm going to serve this within the next hour, so I'm going to add just a pinch of lemon juice because I feel like that would really actually bring out the parsley flavor and add a nice balance, and I'm also going to add just a pinch of salt. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. So I've got some lemon juice that I squeezed the other day, and I'm going to add just a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice to this mix. Just a little bit to help bring out all the good flavors that I'm looking to bring out. And then taste it with a new fresh spoon, like so. It's good in there. That's perfect. I'm really happy with the flavors here. One thing that you might consider doing in addition to maybe adding some lemon zest if you're interested earlier, or some olives. You know, everyone has a different palate. I tend to enjoy anchovies, which I know a lot of people are like, ew, that's disgusting, but I think anchovies are great, and they have that fifth taste, that umami, that really is enjoyable for food. You could add that, and you'd of course have to blend, you know, the mixture quite a bit before you serve it. That's another kind of variation. Other variations include capers. You want to throw some capers in there, or maybe instead of just using parsley itself, you can add in some oregano to your mix. You can add in different soft herbs. I would stay with the soft herbs like thyme, cilantro would work really wonderfully here. Anything like rosemary, I would stay away from because it's kind of chewy, and you basically, I think, want to cook that. I wouldn't serve it raw. And so those are some of the variations. I've even seen people put things like chopped egg in a mix like this. So there are all the different possibilities. Now this is the quick at-home method that I think will appeal to most people. If I was serving this in like a fine dining restaurant, I would want to go to the extra step, and what I would do instead of just blending my herbs, I chop them by hand finely, and then use a mortar and pestle and kind of push them down a little bit and crush them and get the beautiful texture that I can only do through that process. That it's a lot more time intensive and involved, And I think, you know, most home cooks probably won't want to go that mile, but if you do, try it out. The texture is really interesting when you do that. It's less uniform, which makes it, I think, fascinating, you know, for your guests to have on their palate. But the blending is beautiful. It's great. Now, what you could do with the sauce in terms of, well, what do you do with it after you make it? It has endless applications in terms of, you know, I've had it on poached eggs in the morning. It's a nice way to buff up the amount of greens that you have in a day. Like that. You could also put it on a steak. If I was going to put it on a steak, I would add some capers, so I have that little extra flavor dimension. You could put it on fish that has been poached or roasted, and if I was going to put it on fish, I'd chop up some olives and put them in as well, or put them into the sauce, the base sauce. Let me think. Chicken, it would go really well on chicken. For that, you know, I might want to up the lemon zest, or add some lemon zest to that base, to play with the fat of the chicken, I think, in a nice way. It's a healthy, simple sauce. This is vegan, and that's gluten-free. I'm sorry, that's dairy-free, and it's also gluten-free. So it's an easy sauce to make. It's healthy for you, and I don't think anybody has food allergies to anything in this mix. So it's another kind of surefire dunk for a wide audience appeal for you, the home cook. So please enjoy it, and please also check out my blog at www.gabriellemeyers.com. It's posted at the end of the video. And please also like the channel, or like this video, and subscribe to my channel. I have a cookbook that I would love to get off the ground and to sell, but I need some followers to make that happen. So please, you know, support the station and tune in again for the next video.